Come on, 2, 3.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRN Weekly for Saturday, May 7th, 2022. It's been another great week of shows with great topics, great contributors. We kick off the week with a look at championship weekend for the Women's National Football Conference. Let's take a look.
Yeah, the Women's National Football Conference exists to give women and girls really the empowerment to play in the most competitive football environment in the country. And right now, our goal and my goal in the commissioner's office is just to make sure that these women have a safe and competitive environment and fair space to play the game that they love. And we're really, we've built and are moving forward with just putting the best version of women's football out there. And we're excited, have some really good things happening this year and in the works for next. So a lot of things to come. First of all, we have a wide variety of female athletes within the league, everyone from moms and doctors and attorneys and, homemakers, every walk of life we have here, and we support that. The majority of our athletes do play college sports at some level, whether that's basketball, volleyball, softball, just depends on the background, soccer. But the majority of our athletes don't get to play tackle football until they're a little bit older, at that age level where they're starting to learn something new. For myself, I didn't find tackle football until after college. So learning a new sport at 23 was exciting to me. And it also, because I was a little older, made me appreciate more of the details about it and so forth. So a lot of the women went through college, high school and college, playing other sports, and then found football later on and sort of took over from there. Yeah, we do have some athletes that have a background in rugby, and from a tackling perspective, it's someone who definitely has that experience with generally hitting a lot of other sports in our world growing up. Basketball, there's some collisions and things like that, but it's not full contact, full tackle. So it's once you put the pads and helmet on, it's a little bit of a different story. Every year we host the 9 Cup, and basically we bring a weekend of celebration for women's sports and athletics. We bring some high school all-stars to have a tournament there as well. But it's really showcasing our athletes, our coaches, our owners, and the people who really made the season happen. And it's more than just a championship game. We've really turned it into one of the largest events, in women's sports. To be honest, we do everything from a fan fest that's been popular last year. We had a great time at the fan fest. So we'll have all of those events similar to what we did prior. This year in Frisco, Texas. We're excited to have it at the Star. We've made some great relationships with the sports academy there and with some of the people at the Star, and so they've welcomed us. And it's going to be a great event. It's going to be a very good event. Kicks off Friday with Got Her Back Gala, and really showcasing the nonprofit that we're working with, and we'll have some awards to give away there, and thank you to our sponsors and people. It should be a great event. And then Saturday we start with a fan fest. I'll be hosting a brunch, and we'll have a media kickoff type thing at the fan fest, which will be awesome. And then Saturday's all games. We have our high school all-star tournament, and then we have our all-pro game for the WNFC athletes, and then our championship. So jam-packed weekend of fun. Will be a great event. Super lucky and grateful to have it at the Star. It'll be the 50th anniversary, and certainly with everything happening in the world and the things that have happened over the past 50 years with women's sports, I think it's a perfect time, and the alignment of it was coincidental. And we purposely wanted to make sure that we recognize Title IX and the significance of it. So there will be some things throughout the weekend that we can, start to recognize and mention. And really the growth of women's athletics over the past 50 years and prior to that, football, tackle football, women's tackle football is not new. They've been playing women's tackle football for several years now. And you look back in the books of, the Toledo Troopers, and there's some other teams out there that have been playing longer than that. So, it's just a very nice way to bring everything together in one event, celebrate women's sports, celebrate the 50th anniversary of Title IX, and, looking forward to showcasing some of that.
Next up, we discussed America's insecurities in feeding its communities. Let's take a look.
Feeding America is the nation's largest domestic hunger relief organization. Our mission is to advance change in America by ensuring equitable food access for all. And the way that we do that is in partnership with a member network of 200 local food banks across the country, 21 state associations, and 60,000 food pantries, shelters, and soup kitchens all across the country. We are in every community, day in, day out, working to provide billions of pounds of food each year to people who need it the most. So I think it's important to remember that even before the pandemic, hunger was a really pressing crisis in our country. So there were about 38 million people facing hunger pre-pandemic. And certainly we know that the last 2 years has only made things worse for a lot of our neighbors due to rising unemployment or inflation now, the most pressing issue, really putting that additional strain on household budgets. And the Feeding America Network is really there to help fill the gaps. We know that food is often the most flexible item in a household budget. That also means it can be the first thing to get cut. And so our network is really focused on getting fresh produce, meat, dairy, good, wholesome food sourced and into local communities. Our food banks were certainly impacted by the pandemic and have been continued to be impacted by the economic fallout. One of the big issues for us right now, for example, is transportation. So we can often get food donated, but we need to move it, right? And the cost of that freight is up about 20%. Those are real life challenges that food banks are grappling with day in and day out, and certainly something that Feeding America as the national organization is really trying to address. One of our advantages as sort of the national umbrella or brand for the food bank network is that we can secure resources at scale and then make those resources available to our food banks across the country to really help offset some of those increased costs. There's definitely a connection between diet and health-related outcomes, and that's why focusing on fresh food and healthy food is so important to us. One of our goals for the year is to ensure that at least 70% of the food that Feeding America is sourcing is what we would call foods to encourage. That simply is our way of saying it aligns with My Plate guidelines, and we really want to make sure that that food is available to our families.
Well, we're halfway through. We come back the other half of some of our best segments for the week. You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN Weekly. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms, especially for the smaller businesses? I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Are you stuck with a low credit score? A credit report and score that's causing you to be denied credit or pay higher interest rates than others for the same things? Then do what Terrence did and call Credit Repaired for your free credit evaluation to help restore your credit.
I started thinking about buying a new house, and my score wasn't where I needed it to be. I called and spoke with one of the representatives, and we just had a good conversation, and I liked what he was saying.
Just one call for his free credit evaluation was all it took to start back on the track to repairing his credit.
I'm seeing the deletions and I'm getting the report, so I know something's being done. It does make a difference to me.
All it takes is one call to get started.
Credit Repair has given me a second chance to have a better credit score.
Don't let a low credit score hold you back another day. Do what Terrence did and make the call for your free credit evaluation.
Call 800-819-4152. That's 800-819-4152. Again, 800-819-4152.
Welcome back. Inflation has reared its ugly head, impacting food prices and gas prices. We discussed adults' non-retirement savings. Let's take a look.
Yeah, so based on what we're seeing in the in the markets, and then also what we're seeing in kind of internal survey data that we are gathering from our audience base, people are really kind of delaying their retirement savings and focusing those dollars on shorter and medium term goals. And I don't think that's anything that should surprise anybody. I think we're all sort of feeling the squeeze, whether it's at the grocery store or at the gas pump. And so our near-term needs are those things that we have to pay for right now and in the next year or so. And when prices for those things are going up, it's, putting money away, socking money away for something that is decades away and ultimately restricted in terms of, when and how you can use that money. I think the trade-off is pretty obvious there for a lot of people. Yeah, I think it's only becoming even more and more of a dangerous game. As interest rates are starting to increase and inflation is going up, now all of a sudden you're putting higher cost items on very high cost debt. And so, the average balance on those credit cards are ballooning. And then you've got the interest rates that are compounding on that balance is going to balloon. It's just a recipe for disaster over the long haul. And so I think what people can do, to try to stem the bleeding a little bit in the meantime, is to really cut from those longer term savings as much as they can or need to, such as retirement savings, to cut from their budget and any ways and places that they can. Maybe, we've seen a shift to, from name brand items at the store to off-brand items, things like that are ways that the consumers can save money. It's kind of always talk about putting your financial oxygen mask on before you help others. And that really does pertain to, unfortunately, as uncomfortable it makes people, it does pertain to the parent-child situation and dynamic. It's like, well, if you need to pay for, essential items today, then you may want to or need to pull from things like a 529 plan or reduce contributions to something like a 529 plan in order to fund those expenses. So it's a struggle, but sit down, look at your budget, go line by line through all of your budget items. And I would be surprised if you can't find at least like one or two things that maybe you can pull back on or cut out entirely. I know we're doing it, here in my household, so it's possible. Ultimately, one of the things that I've learned and I try to teach to younger folks that we educate about financial literacy is that other people care much less than you think. So ultimately, whatever you're spending your money on should really be for your own personal enjoyment and benefit. And there is, a certain amount of kind of quote unquote self-care, whether that's buying the cool shirt or, purchasing a coffee out once in a while, or whatever it might be that makes you feel good about spending the money that you work hard to earn is fine. But when you start to think about purchasing things or spending money on things because you hope other people have a reaction to it, think critically about those things, and maybe those are the first places that you might be able to cut.
And finally, competitive gaming has evolved to include the blockchain. Let's take a look.
Well, as you mentioned, games have changed a lot over the decades. We started with sticks and stones and came to board games and came to video games. And each evolution of gaming has had monumental changes with computer games and video games. It used to be that you had to buy the game, buy the CD or buy the disc and take it home and you could play it. And then eventually it evolved into some guys who got a genius idea. Let's give these games away for free. And then let's sell things inside the games to the players. So that's kind of where we sit now. The evolution of gaming, our company, we propose to bring monetization of gameplay. In other words, we want the average gamer to actually be able to make money when they're playing games. We're going to do that through competitions within a gaming platform that we're about to launch. We use the blockchain in a couple of different ways. For one, to ensure that we don't find ourselves in a position of being a casino or a gambling venue, we want to be very careful about providing competitions that are skill-based. This is not something of luck or chance. And because we want this to be a very secure environment, we're actually using multiple smart contracts which operate various pieces and elements of our project. For example, a user can come in and purchase Evolve, which is our cryptocurrency. That is what you use in order to enter competitions and play in these competitions. That's recorded in blockchain. We have a referral system in our platform where users can refer other users and be given some bonuses. Those are also recorded on the blockchain. As the users come into our system and enter with the fee of Evolve, that's recorded on the blockchain, as well as every competition is statistically recorded so that there's a system that doesn't require trust in me as a CEO or me as the main guy running the system, that every person who comes in, we can show the blockchain record that everything that happens with every customer and user in our system is verifiable and auditable, which is really great, that it takes trust on an individual level out of the equation, which of course is the case with most blockchain applications. I am also someone who can play some games, but I joke with my developers, Super Mario Brothers was probably the last game I played that I was any good at. So we've given a lot of thought and consideration to this point. Cheating is a big deal and fairness is a big deal. Because we do not control matches, we cannot control what happens inside the games. But in the overall element of our competitions, we have an algorithm set up to match players of similar skill level against other players at the same skill level. This ensures effectively what happens is as players come in and start to fill our system here very soon, when you win, we immediately start to rank you up in our system. This will allow for the pro level players who will certainly be attracted to us to very quickly rise up through the ranks. They can't cheat this process, because if they do, you've got to pay money to cheat our system. So we're actually counting on that people and their interest, their ambition or their greed to make money will keep them from having a really good guy come against you and I in a competition and just constantly blow us out of the water. We know there are elements out there of esports for professional level gamers, but there is nothing so far that really addresses the issue of guys like us who are really not good. You and I need to be pitted against each other for it to be fair, and we want to give the world of gamers, all of them, a fair chance to come in and play. So that matchmaking system is there, and that will protect the little guys so they can play against little guys, and the big guys can play against big guys.
Well, great segments. I want to thank all of our great contributors this week. That wraps up this episode of BRN Weekly. Have a topic of interest, somebody you think we should talk to, drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the latest curated news in lifestyle, wellness, finance, tech, so much more all in one place, check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. Want to search our archives, check out our latest content? Well, visit our website and our streaming partners like Amazon, Roku, Samsung. You've got over 100 to choose from. We're back again tomorrow for BRN Sunday. I'll be joined by members of the media, academia, and financial services as we break down the news and events for the week. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes. Now is your opportunity to co-create content around any topic on the first lifestyle and wellness network. Reach a global audience through our platform and co-own exclusive branded content. All of our programs are available on demand and also as audio-only podcasts, so you can take us on the go. Broadcast Retirement Network, available anytime, anywhere, and on any device.
Are you being audited and do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. The IRS can freeze your assets and seize your bank accounts, but you can stop these IRS actions. The Tax Doctor will work with you using our years of experience to represent your case to help you get the best resolution under the IRS guidelines. Help is here to deal with the IRS to reduce your stress. We've handled thousands of cases, so we know what we're doing. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, do not call the IRS alone. Call a Tax Doctor now for a tax emergency analysis.
Call 800-224-6439.